Today, we're diving into a kind of historical detective story, chasing a secret that's been hiding in plain sight across southern Italy for more than 1,000 years. And trust me, what we're about to uncover is pretty wild. It connects Christian saints directly to ancient pagan gods. It all kicks off with this really strange puzzle. You go from town to town, and you keep finding these two figures worshipped side by side. A major Christian archangel and a saint whose name sounds an awful lot like a Roman goddess. So, what's the deal? What's really going on here? So, meet our mystery duo. On the left, you've got the Archangel Michael, the famous warrior saint, the dragon slayer. And on the right, well, you've got this really strange figure from an ancient fresco who is labeled Saint Venus. They seem like a total mismatch, right? A holy warrior and a saint of love. So, why in the world are they an inseparable pair? We're calling this first part an unholy alliance, and you'll see why, because the deeper you dig into this pairing, the stranger it gets. And look, this isn't just a one-off thing, some quirky local tradition in one little town. No, this pairing shows up again and again and again all across the Italian landscape. It's a pattern, a kind of historical echo that points to a much deeper story. To crack this case, we need to bring in our prime suspects, the Lombards. They were a Germanic people who conquered and ruled huge parts of Italy for centuries. And they left behind a kind of ghost network, a submerged heritage that's pretty much invisible unless you know exactly where and how to look. And this is our secret decoder ring. The Lombard word lager, which just means a camp or a fortified settlement, it's the linguistic key that unlocks a hidden map of where they were, because they basically left this word scattered all over the country. So, you might be driving through Italy and see a town named Lago, right? Like Lago Negro. And you'd think, oh, that must mean lake. But nope. In a lot of these cases, you're actually standing right on top of an old Lombard military camp. The history isn't just in the books, it's literally written on the map. Okay, so we've got our suspects and we've got our hidden map. Now let's follow the trail of clues and you'll see how the evidence starts to build, piece by piece. And man, it piles up fast. In Lagonguero, you find a rock fresco of Saint Michael in a place literally called Santa Venere. Over in Albadona, an entire ancient monastery was dedicated to both of them. And get this, in Teggiano, inside Saint Michael's own church, the whole crypt is dedicated to Saint Venus. You can't ignore a connection that strong. But let's zero in on Teggiano, because this is where we find a really critical piece of evidence. Down in that crypt, you see this incredible ancient fresco. This isn't just a name on a map anymore. This is a face staring at us from way back in the early Middle Ages. But take a closer look. Let's zoom right in on that name painted next to her head. It's not spelled V-E-N-E-R-E. It's spelled B-E-N-E-R-E, Benere. Now, your first instinct might be, it's just a spelling mistake. But it's not. This is what we'd call a linguistic fingerprint. See, this specific swap, using a B sound for a V sound, is a known linguistic quirk. It's called betacism. And guess what? It was super common in the Lombard-influenced dialects of southern Italy right around that time. So this isn't a mistake at all. It's a direct, audible link back to the Lombards. Okay, things are really heating up now. We've got our suspects, the Lombards. We've got a clear pattern of evidence. Now, let's head to a town where a little piece of local folklore is about to blow this whole case wide open. So, for hundreds of years in this town, Marcianise, they had this huge procession for St. Michael's feast day. And the big moment was when his statue would meet the statue of St. Venus. But the thing is, the locals had their own, let's just say, unorthodox ideas about what was really going on between these two. And this is it's the heart of the whole thing. The locals didn't just see them as two saints hanging out. They called Saint Venus a namorata, which means the lover or the beloved. They actually believed these two saints were a couple. I mean, this was so persistent, so scandalous, that in the 1970s, the church actually had to step in and ban the entire tradition. This right here is our smoking gun. Okay, so why? Why would an entire town believe for centuries that a holy archangel and a saint were lovers? This is it. We're at the big reveal where all the pieces, the Lombard camps, that strange B for V spelling, the forbidden procession, they all finally click into place. There's really only one explanation that makes sense of all this widespread, deeply held belief. Saint Michael and Saint Venus, they aren't what they seem. They're masks. They're Christian disguises for two much, much older gods.
Okay, let's break it down. First, Saint Michael. He's the warrior archangel, right? Leader of heaven's army, often shown with wings. Now think about the Lombards. Who was their top god? It was Odin, the Germanic god of war, the leader of all the other gods. The parallels are they're undeniable. It looks like the Lombards just took the job description for their main god and mapped it right onto a powerful Christian figure they could recognize.
So what about his lover, Saint Venus? In some places, they even called her the Nude One. Well, she lines up perfectly with Freya, the Norse goddess of love, beauty, fertility, and sex. So how does Freya become Venus? Well, one of Freya's other names was Vanadis, and it's not a huge leap to get from Vanadis to Venera or Venus, especially if you're trying to blend your old beliefs into a new religion without getting into too much trouble.
And hey, if you need one last killer piece of evidence, just look at your calendar. In languages like Italian, Friday is venerdì, the day of Venus, but in Germanic languages, it's the day of Freya, Freitag in German, and of course, Friday in English. The connection has literally been hiding in our language this whole time.
And that brings us right back to this face, staring out at us from that crypt in Tagiano, a face that has survived for over 1,000 years. So, are we looking at a forgotten Christian saint? Or is this the face of the Norse goddess Freya hiding in plain sight all this time?
And that leaves us with one last really incredible question to think about. I mean, if Odin and Freya could survive for centuries, disguised as saints, right in the heart of the Christian world, you have to wonder, how many other ancient gods are still out there, hiding in our churches, in our holidays, in the very names of the places we live? What other secrets are just waiting to be uncovered?